So how do you pray? How do you meditate? Why is it even important that you pray and you meditate? Because in most of my videos, I'm telling you guys you have to pray and you have to meditate. And I've been getting some comments and emails asking to explain prayer or meditation, how I do it, or what it looks like, how do I know I'm doing it correctly, that kind of stuff. Why is it important? Let's do a little brief intro. If you've never watched me before, right? The meditation and the prayer are the most potent, the most efficient, the most powerful techniques, doings in your spiritual path. There is nothing that exists in the spiritual New Age community, in any religion, in any scriptures, nothing, not a single thing, not a single technique that is or ever will be more powerful, more succinct than the meditation and the prayer. And I cannot emphasize that enough, guys. If you want the quickest path to your realization, you must sit down and do the meditation and the prayer. And it doesn't have to be some torturous thing, okay? Everyone's like, oh, I can't possibly sit down and pray and meditate. Guys, what you're gonna find out is in the beginning, there's gonna be some resistance to it. There's gonna be a bit of an inertia getting used to that whole process, okay? But I promise you, the further you go into it, after a few days, after a few weeks, after a few months, you're gonna prefer to do it. You're gonna want to take time out of your day to do it. Just like how you get used to working out and you can't, it's difficult to go back to not working out because it's so part of your routine. Well, this becomes a part of your spiritual routine until you've ascended and reached the final clarity, as I'll call it, right? And then you don't need to do the meditation and prayer so much anymore because you pretty much are the living meditation and prayer through how you embody spirit, how you've merged with it, how you've removed all of these layers. That's the purpose of your meditation and prayer practice, guys, is to remove the layers of your mind, to remove the layers of the karma, right? And I'm not saying you ever fully remove your mind. It doesn't happen that way. What I'm saying is you unmask yourself so that you can discern between what these different aspects of energies and consciousness are within you. And then now you're stepping fully into yourself and you can easily flow in and out of life what you need to do, how you see fit. You have choice. And your choice merges with divine will choice. Right? So, I don't know. Do I start with meditation or do I start with prayer? Kind of the two sides of the same coin, like I've said. And let's start with prayer, okay? So I've already kind of alluded to this in some of my videos, especially the one where how you talk to God, okay? The number one reason for me now that I pray is to give thanks, okay? It is an ever-flowing state of gratitude towards life. And so when I'm consciously directing my thoughts and saying, oh, thank you, God, for whatever, that is a state of gratitude and flowing surrender into the now, into the present moment of where life happens, okay? But how do you pray? You don't have to find prayers in religions that you buy into and you have to regurgitate them, guys. The prayer must, for it to be most efficient, for it to be most effective, if we even want to call them effective, because on different layers, prayers and meditation are always going to be effective to some degree, okay? But for it to mean the most, for you to get the most out of it, it is mandatory, it must be sincere. You have to really mean it when you sit down. I mean, and why wouldn't you mean it? If you're going to sit down and literally take out a portion of your day to pray, okay? If you're going to sit down and say, I'm going to pray for the next half an hour, and you're going to go into some form of prayer, whatever that looks like for you, okay? Because I'm going to give you a lot of freedom in how you guys do these things, guys. There's no one size fits all to any of this shit, okay? That's the most important thing. You make it your own. It's like how when you're in school and they're like, don't plagiarize, bro, don't copy, text. Write it in your own words. Well, that's what you're doing with prayer and meditation. You're writing it in your own words. You're writing it in your own being. You put your stamp on it. You make it your own. There's no one size fits all with prayer or meditation, guys. Anything, like one technique, one spiritual branch, one this or that says pray like this, meditate like this. No. You find what works for you, and whatever gets you deeper into stillness, and whatever gets you more close with a sincerity to your prayer, to your divine, whatever your divine looks like, whether you label it God or source or universe or spirit, archangels, ancestors, whatever, it doesn't matter. God just wants you to take a portion of your day, however small or large it may be that day, and dedicate it to putting it, him, her, the energy, at the forefront of your consciousness. You are willingly giving your thought and your beingness to the stillness, the peace of which you are, the foundation of which you are. You're merging yourself with it. Okay? So you're not really essentially praying to something outside of you. It might feel like that in the beginning. You're basically praying to yourself. You're stilling yourself through your prayer. And then you yourself become the energy of everything. You expand into it, okay? But that's with meditation more. So with the prayer, what does it look like when I pray? As an example, and then I'll talk about some other stuff. My prayer starts out like, blessings to the Lord, blessings to God, blessings to the universe. Thank you for watching over me. I really appreciate it. Like, I mean it. I really appreciate you, God, for sustaining me. I really appreciate, thank you for this breath. Thank you for the bed that I have to sleep, things that we take for granted. Thank you for the food that I have to eat. Thank you for my family that helps take care of me sometimes. Thank you for my friends. Please watch over my friends and my family. Blessings to the ancestors, to my grandfather and to my Thea Angie who's passed. Okay? Blessings to my spirit guides, my spirit team. Blessings to the chosen ones that have passed. Blessings to Jesus and Buddha and all of the great ones that have come into my life and taught me, right? I am blessing everything through prayer, okay? And you can say mantras, but the most important thing is that you're blessing. Bless, bless. My life is a blessing now because I've incorporated this prayer so much. It becomes a mantra, an affirmation almost, okay? But you can also have prayer where you're seeking guidance, where you're like, God, I'm so confused, please help me. Or asking for assistance. Lord, please watch over my friends and my family. Watch over my uncle, he's sick, please. Like, and this is a very earnest please, guys. It is a request. It is a request. And if you request sincerely, it is given instantly. And it might not come to fruition instantly in the physical manifest, but it is on its way energetically. The moment you put out that intention sincerely, you have to get that. The way I say you devote yourself in the devotion video that I did, you must mean it. There's no half-assing this shit, guys. It's very binary. In this faith, in this belief, there's no doubt. And that's why, like, honestly, guys, God already knows what you need. So you sitting down and saying, God, I need this, I need that. What's more efficient is if you're going to pray for something that you think you need, if you're going to law of attraction the fuck out of this, right? If you're going to say, I want the house and the car and all these $5 million, I need all these things, right? Because my life is going to look a certain way. You're more efficient and more powerful and more succinct if you just ask what is best for your higher self. Lord, like Jesus says in the Garden of Gethsemane, not my will, but thy will be done. What is best for me in your eyes, God? You have the world view. You have a greater view than I could ever have. I am nothing to you. I bow down. I worship you, Lord. I'm nothing to you. You know better than me. Coming from that kind of a place, God, hey, bro, I love you, man. I love you. Lord, how grateful am I for this existence? I love you, Lord, with all my fucking heart, that it brings me to tears how much I love you, Lord. Do you understand how powerful this has to be for you to sincerely create this prayer? You have to mean it, guys. Lord, you know better than me. You know better than me, Lord. You already are providing for every step that I take, I am provided for. You know better than me. This surrender, this submission. Please bring what is best for me in my ascension And it can be things, and it can be relationships, and it can be people. If you're going to ask for anything, ask for that. Anything more is of the devil. Anything more than what you need for your highest self ascension is of the devil, guys. That's why I say the law of attraction is bullshit. Whatever, man. All of that stuff's part of your path anyway. If you need to learn, it's like, oh, I'm so jaded by this law of attraction, it doesn't work. It does work. The core essence truth of the law of attraction is very real, but the intention with which people are going into it is diluted. And that's why it doesn't work for most people. If it did, then everybody'd be rich and get everything they want instantly. Ooh, it doesn't work that way. It can't. You have contracts, you have things, you have karma, you have things that you have to work through. These are mandatory things. And so the law of attraction isn't just going to replace these things that you have to work through. So pray that these things are shown to you. Blessings to the Lord. Blessings. Watch over my family and my friends. Thank you. Thank you. Get to a place of gratitude. Thank you. Like, gratitude isn't just reserved for Thanksgiving Day, guys. I love Thanksgiving. I told you guys in one of my videos, it's my favorite holiday. I love what it means. More than Christmas, more than anything. Easter, whatever. Gratitude, man. Very powerful. The intention of gratitude, the intention of sincere thankfulness for your existence. And when you're depressed and sad and feeling sorry for yourself, you're not in a place to feel that way genuinely. There has to be an authenticity with your prayer, guys. And your prayer can literally be anywhere. You don't have to go, like Jesus said, lock yourself in the room that your Father sees you in. God sees you all the time, man. You're having sex, you're fucking praying. You're taking a shit, you're fucking praying. There's nowhere that you're not praying. Every action of your being is a prayer to God, guys. Get in that place. Every aspect of your life is holy. Sanctity in everything. So people come in and ask, how do I pray? How do I pray? You do what feels right for you. How you want to say what you need to say is between you and God. It's a personal thing. That's what Jesus means by going in the room by yourself and in secret. It is a personal thing. How you see God, how you see the energy and consciousness of everything. It's a personal thing. But you're going to find that it aligns a lot with other people's view of it and explanation of it because, like, words are very limited and you're pointing to a higher truth. So that's prayer for me. And it can be mantras too. You can do Om. Like when I enter into meditation, I can use the Om, japa. I can use the Om to cleanse my energy. And I'm projecting an Om internally. And that vibrational, internal, mental vibration, that frequency that it's creating is cleansing you of your karma. It burns through it very quickly. That's one technique. But you don't even need to do that. You can just project light. The light is the Om. They're the same thing. All of these mantras and affirmations are aspects of light, energy. It's like, if you've heard of Saint Germain and the violet flame, and you're going to sit down and envision yourself in the violet flame. You do the same thing. Envision you directing your mind, you directing your third eye, you directing your awareness internally is the light itself. Your focus is light. So if I focus internally where I place my attention and I'm feeling all lovey-dovey and like, ooh, fuzzy and warm, in that energy of stillness, as I point my attention internally, I am cleansing myself by default. I don't have to project an Om. I don't have to do affirmations. I don't have to do any of these weird things. Like, it's not weird because we've normalized them in the spiritual community. But guys, that's why you just sit in meditation and feel the stillness. It takes care of everything. It's the platform. It holds all of the frequencies. It holds all of these vibrations, whatever woo-woo scientific terminology you want to attribute to spirituality. Quantum. Ooh, quantum. So that's prayer. Sincere communication, sincere conversation with God. You don't have to do the Jesus prayer. Jesus said the Lord's Prayer is this, and I'm going to repeat the Lord's Prayer over and over again. It's going to look like this, and it has to be like this, and I have to word it this way, and it's the most powerful prayer. Bullshit. Bullshit. The strength that is derived from the Jesus prayer, his authority of spiritual contact, truth that he embodies, is what gives that prayer significance to you. You're placing Jesus on the pedestal like he's God. God doesn't care. God's very willing to let Jesus be the middleman to God. He doesn't care. Okay, he really doesn't. Whatever archetype you like, the Archangel Michael, Buddha, Muhammad, any saint, doesn't matter how you point your attention towards the divine. What matters is the intention and the sincerity with which you're doing it. So if you sincerely mean the Lord's Prayer and you adopt it as your own, then fine, you can use that. But just know and be aware of what you're doing. Okay, I think enough has been said on prayer. Darius, you're getting pissed. I'm not mad, guys. I just want you guys to understand this, okay? I don't want to have to do more than one video on meditation and prayer. I didn't even want to do this video because I just think it's silly. But maybe it needs to be worded for you. You need to get it, okay? So now meditation. And I've alluded to this a little bit in other videos. There's no one correct way of doing meditation. There's multiple ways you can get into stillness. What matters is that you get into stillness and you go deeper and deeper into stillness. And then once you've reached this like critical threshold of depth of stillness, then you start expanding into the samadhi, the mergedness, the moksha, whatever you want to call it, nirvana. You expand and you expand out of this rooted stillness. First you root, then you expand. It's hard to expand before being rooted because then you can get into trouble. You can fly off the handle. Whenever I meditate, and while I'm meditating, I also pray, guys. Whenever I'm meditating, the number one thing I ask for is humility and groundedness and centeredness. Don't ever let me get too big for my fucking britches, Lord. I'm nothing. I am yours. I am your servant. I am your slave, bro. I am nothing. Do you get it? Nothing. Get in touch with that humility. I'm nothing to you. I am your servant. You guys get this? I am nothing. You are more than me. That's the attitude I adopt. Through that humility, you reach your everything. The more you let go of yourself, the more you step into yourself. The first is the last and the last is the first. So, I am asking for humility. Keep me grounded. Through the meditation that I'm about to go into, keep me grounded, centered. All right. So the number one easiest way to do the meditation is through breath. It's called pranayama in the yogi, Indian, Hindu tradition. Okay? The breath work. When the Old Testament, and like he breathed life into you, right? The breath is the fundamental, man. The breath is the base. The breath is the energy that animates you, right? I mean, we know this scientifically. You can't go very long without breath. You can go without water for a few days, a week maybe, max, and then you can go food for however long. You have fat reserves, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? But the breath is critical. And God wants you to know that because the breath is so critical, it's also your pathway into realizing your stillness. Because when you place your attention, your mental focus, your internal awareness on your breath, you bring it in, right? If I'm sitting and I'm just focused on my breath, right? I don't want to hyperventilate when I'm meditating. What I'm saying is, when I'm focused on my breath, how am I not focused internally, but kind of by default, right? But what you'll notice is once you've practiced enough meditation, you're always aware of your breath and your internal state of being while your attention is also pointed outwards. That's the merging. That's the above as below and the outside as the inside kind of mentality and mirroring of what your reality is. But that's a little more advanced. So, when you're breathing, to get yourself into meditation, the key, Okay, and I'm gonna thank Forrest Knudsen for this, because this guy is like a genius when it comes to laying out. His meditation technique is what got me into a deeper meditation. So if you guys want to check out Forrest Knudsen, Knutson, for a deeper dive into how the meditation works, then fine. I'm adopting some of it with him, but it's also my own in a way. So there's stages to your meditation. The first is you make your breath, your out breath, longer than your in breath. Okay, so your in breath can be like 3 to 5 seconds. Let's say you do, right? A nice, long, deep, just in breath. At the top of your breath, you're not holding your breath, you're not nothing. It's just always a flowing breath, in and out, up and down, in and then out. But your out wants to be longer by a couple seconds at least. So if you do a 4-second in breath, you want it to be a 5 or a 6 or a 7-second out breath. And so you'll find as you practice that you might maintain the same in breath of 3 to 5 seconds, but your out breath becomes longer and longer and longer. And now you're doing a 10-second out breath, a 15-second out breath. It's just like, and that out breath is longer than the in breath. Okay? And at the end of my out breath, wherever it feels natural, you'll find the rhythm of it. Then you come in with the in breath again. You do this over and over again to get you into stillness. So you guys are gonna sit down, you're gonna do the meditation. You don't have to do lotus pose or any pose. Just sit in a chair, however you feel comfortable. Some people maybe wanna lie down. Don't lie down though, I wouldn't recommend that, because it's way easier to fall asleep when you're laying down, okay? And you'll fall asleep sometimes even when you're sitting meditation, guys. Sometimes your body just needs to sleep a little, okay? Don't condemn yourself for like falling asleep in meditation, guys. It's very common. But if every single time you meditate you pass out, then something's off. You want to meditate when you have energy. So if every time that you're falling asleep in meditation, you know, like you want to make sure that you're like energized to sit and do an hour meditation, that you're aware. Just like you would sit at work or do your schoolwork or play a video game, you're aware. You want that same level of awareness in meditation. You're going to get more out of it. So in breath, shorter than the out breath longer than the in breath. Okay? So you're meditating and you're breathing and you're focusing on your breath. And there's certain physical stages that you go through to help notice that you're getting deeper and deeper into meditation. Because when I used to do my meditation when I was younger, I didn't know a lot of different techniques. I would just sit and like just try and still my mind and internally place attention without placing too much attention on my breath. I was just breathing however I normally breathe, right? What happens now when you do the outer breath is longer than the in breath, you're putting yourself more into the parasympathetic nervous system, like this nervous response, right? The vagal nerve or whatever. Like it doesn't matter the scientific terminologies of your nervous system, guys. It doesn't. What matters is like how it feels. So the first stage is that your hands are going to start getting hot and warm to the touch. You'll notice that when you switch into this like stillness in the beginning through breathing, after a couple minutes, 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes of just focusing only on your breath, breathe and then long out breath. As long as out breath as long, like as many seconds as feels comfortable, but just make sure that it's a little longer, okay? And then it'll start getting naturally longer and longer and longer. You'll notice that your hands start to feel warm and maybe even clammy a little bit. That's the first thing that you notice. I'm getting deeper, and you'll feel a little more rooted in it in the beginning too. You'll feel yourself deepening in your meditation through the breath work and the hands. The next thing you might feel, and while you're doing all of this, you want to try and stay as still as possible. If you have to scratch your nose or do something, fine, do it. You know, if it's distracting you a lot, then scratch your nose, get it over with, and just get back into stillness and being still. But honestly, at some point, you really want to remain as still as possible, because anything else is just like distracting you from. Anyway, I'll talk about that a little later. So the next stage is you start to feel some tingles. You feel tingles in your fingertips. You feel tingles on your face. You feel tingles maybe back here, up where like the subconscious part of the mind is, for an example. You might feel tingles where your crown is. You might feel tingles on your forehead, on your upper lip, your lower lip, in your neck. You'll feel tingly, okay? That's the second part of I'm getting deeper and deeper into meditation, okay? Then what Forrest calls it is a freeze response. You start becoming more still to the point where it feels like there's like this kind of like a shell on you, okay? That you're like kind of frozen, very, very still while being, internal, and you're still focused on your breath and whatever. And now you're noticing your warm hands and you're noticing your internal stillness. You get into a place where it's like kind of like this little shell that you feel like if you're gonna move, it's gonna crack the shell in a way, like an eggshell. This very, very powerful stillness envelops you. And so you start feeling very still, okay? This is called the freeze response, he calls it. The next thing, through the yogic tradition, that happens eventually, it might not happen your first few times that you meditate, guys. It might not happen for a while. But what happens on the stages, the fourth stage, okay, is the tranquil breath. Now, this is when you're really balls deep into meditation. Okay, this is when you're gonna, I guarantee you, if you're not an advanced meditator and you've just kind of willy-nilly done whatever meditation, you probably have not gotten the tranquil breath. What happens is you become so merged with your meditation and focused on this internal that your breath slows down to where it's imperceptible. You're not even aware of or noticing your breath. You're kind of almost not breathing. Okay? So you focus on your breath in the beginning. That's the first step, right? You focus on your breath, you focus on your breath. You're focused on your breath. In, out, longer out breaths, right? So because you're placing your attention there, you're getting yourself more and more into stillness. Then you're noticing your hands are getting a little warmer. Then you're noticing the tingles that are popping up. Then you're noticing the freeze response. And then now you step into a tranquil breath where you're so merged with an internal stillness that the breath kind of goes away. You're still maybe even imperceptibly breathing, but you're not consciously in, out, focused on longer breaths. So you'll get to a place where there's a tranquil breath and you're not even breathing and you're just still. You're like this fucking yogi that's just sitting, not even breathing, very, very cocooned in this warm, fuzzy stillness, little tingles, and you're placing your internal focus on your body and this mergedness with oneness that you are, okay? Tranquil breath comes in. When you start doing these things enough, your third eye is going to start to appear. You don't need to do, like I've said, third eye meditations and pineal gland meditations. And people out here are trying to open their third eye before it's ready, and that's dangerous. Or open your crown before it's dangerous, guys. That's how you get mental illness. It happens naturally when you're ready. And it will happen very quickly if you sit down and do the meditation. So you don't have to worry about any of this third eye shit, pineal gland shit. It's all illusory. It takes you down the wrong path of spirituality. Let your powers come in naturally. God gives them to you as a responsibility. And honestly, if even Buddha's like, bro, this shit's bullshit. You don't need these powers. If they come in, it's like, it doesn't mean that you're super high, significant, nothing. You're nothing. So, the tranquil breath. Somewhere between maybe the freeze response and the tranquil breath, the third eye starts to come in. But it can come in before or after. It might not come in for a while, guys. What does the third eye look like? And how do you go into it and notice it? Because after you enter a place where you're so still, that now you're communing with God. You're listening for God. This is where the downloads can come in and give you information. This is where, like I say in my Talking to God video, this is where you've rooted your mind. This whole time that you're meditating, you're paying attention to your internal noise. And you're not like condemning it or like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking I'm trying to meditate so hard. Just let it play out. Notice what's going on because that's telling you where you're at. Every aspect of yourself internally, your mind, your thoughts, your internal state of being, any tension, any turmoil, these are telling you where you're at on your spiritual journey, what you need to focus on. Your thoughts that come in that are negative or off or whatever are spots of blindness and shadow that need to be addressed in one way or another. You have to find the root. The root is the blind spot. You cut the root, and now that whole branch of grossness leaves you, that karma. Okay? So, you're sitting still. You're breathing. You get into the fuzzy hands, warm hands. You get into the little tingling. You get into like the tranquil breath. You get into the freeze response, right? You get into I like become the cocoon, okay? And now, the more you do that, you're gonna notice the third eye comes in like a portal. It can look like dark purple or blue, navy blue, or even black with like shimmering layers of light that come in. This little portal emerges, and in the beginning, it may look like it's far away. So it may look like there's a very, very small little dark hole. So it's like you close your eyes and it's largely dark, right? Unless you're like in light and like there's light coming in through your eyelids or whatever. But you close your eyes, it's dark, right? Eventually, you'll start noticing a little portal that shows up, and it has a different like layer of color spectrum than the rest of this shroud of darkness. It's going to be like darkish, purplish, bluish, whatever. This is the third eye, okay? And it can be far away or it can be up close and big. And it shimmers, and it like there's like energy, it's like warping and like it's moving like a tunnel, and you can suck yourself into it and go out if you want, but you don't need to. Like, I'm gonna leave my body, I'm gonna go astrally project. Like, you don't need to do any of that shit, man. That stuff happens on its own as a byproduct of you. But anyway, everyone's like, I want powers, I want to astrally project and like go. Like, for what? What is it for? Tell me. I want to experience cool things. You can experience cool things here. Way more cool than you've ever. It's an escape. Okay, so now that the third eye is opening, now that the third eye is showing itself to you, the more you do the meditation, the more the third eye becomes a prominent thing. It's one of the first 5-6 steps into your nirvana ascension. Okay? The third eye comes in, and you just sit for as long as you can in this meditation, deepening and deepening the stillness, rooting yourself in this stillness. Deeper and deeper you go. Deeper down the rabbit hole of stillness you go. You keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. And the third eye becomes bigger and bigger. And the third eye eventually merges and comes up forward, like on you. And it opens. And the downloads start coming in. Okay? And you start asking questions, and God immediately responds. And God sometimes you just get a vision. You'll get an image. You'll get something. You'll see through this third eye that's like just like moving and doing whatever. You'll see little light images and like weird images and words and whatever pops up. These are pointers for you on your path. And they have an own personal significance to you, not at someone else. Someone else isn't doing the meditating. You're the one doing the meditating. So whatever significance you draw from it is what the significance is. That's the sign. So you have some signs that come in, you notice some things about yourself. The next and like last stage is the merging and the merging and the merging, and then the expansion through the meditation. And while you're doing meditation, you can pray occasionally. Like, I'm not only, when I meditate, sitting in prayer or sitting in meditation and only doing stillness and only looking at the third eye. I'm also directing thoughts and prayer. And the prayer, like I mentioned in the Eastern Orthodox tradition of Christianity, they have this internal contemplative stillness, this contemplative prayer. That's what this becomes now. Through the meditation and through the prayer combined, it is a contemplative internal stillness prayer that you're doing. Okay? And that's bringing both of them in, and it's honestly, in my opinion, more powerful because you're directing your thanks and your thought towards God while also meditating. It's not just like your mind's out of control and spinning and you can't quiet it. No. Now it's you communing with God, you realizing your God essence through the stillness. The more still you become, the more you realize yourself. I mean, obviously. So I come in with some prayer if I feel like it. Sometimes in order to get myself more into stillness while I'm breathing in the beginning, I'm also praying. I'm also like, oh, blessings to the Lord while I'm focused on my breath. You can do these things at the same time, guys. It's not just, I'm going to sit and pray. I'm going to sit and meditate, and they're separate. No, they're two sides of the same coin. They flow in and out of each other beautifully. They complement each other beautifully. So the final stage, every day that you sit in meditation, you're getting yourself one step closer to your eventual realization, whether you know it or not. You don't know the timeline. Nobody knows the timeline. It might take a couple months. It might take a couple years. It might take 50 years. I don't know. I don't know how much karma you have to burn through. But on some level, if you're watching my videos, you're close, like I say. You're close. It didn't take me long. Once I actually found the techniques that worked for me, and I actually sincerely sat down and dedicated myself, because that's what was missing, the dedication. The sincere, I mean it, and I'm going to prove it to you how much I mean it, God. Once you do that, it can happen very quickly, within months, if you sincerely sit down and devote hours of your day to it. Hours. I'm not talking about 45-minute meditation, guys. I'm talking about hours every day to prayer and meditation. It's a very hardcore way of living. And you do that as long as you need to, and then eventually you don't even need to do this. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying for the rest of your life, you're doing 5 hours of meditation every day. No. You do that to build up the bubble of wealth, of stillness within you. The portal, the fountain. You're building it within you. You're just like Super Saiyan, kind of like over 9,000, kind of shit. Whatever, comical analogy you want to draw. So after you learn to go through the steps of meditation, and like you're focused on your breath, you do then the warm hands and the sparkly fuzzy feelings and the tingling, right? And then you go, like, you feel like this little cocoon with the freeze response, and then you notice the tranquil breath, right? And if you guys want to take notes on the steps, fine, you can do that, and then keep an eye out for it when you're meditating. Maybe the tranquil breath doesn't make itself known to you for a couple of weeks, but then eventually you break through this barrier of like, oh, I've been searching for this tranquil breath, because you turned it into this thing. Like, that's the final stage before I can do, you know what I mean? Ooh, wow, that'd be cool to experience that I'm not really breathing, but I'm breathing, but I'm not really breathing. Ooh, wow, I really want to feel that. Ooh, I'm a superpower man now, yay. It's like, whatever, right? You don't turn it into that. Just do it. Just breathe. It's always just breath. And then, like, even when the tranquil breath comes in, you'll notice at some point your consciousness is going to be like, oh shit, I've gotten the tranquil breath. I haven't breathed I haven't been aware of a breath, and it's been very still, even the breath, for like a minute or two. And then you notice it, and then you're like, then you start breathing again. It's like loops of the same technique. Then now you go into your breath again. Now you go into your stillness again. And then you cycle through it. Deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole you go. Okay? And the final stage is, you're so used to meditating and feeling these things and tranquil breath and like looking at your third eye and watching it dance and getting downloads and asking questions and praying and giving thanks, that this overwhelming love, peace, bliss, stillness overtakes you, and you just start expanding without realizing you're expanding and merging. And that's where you realize that you are everything and everything is you. That's where it dawns on you how expansive you are, where you place your attention, where you look, where you feel, you are there. It's how infinite you are in a little body. And in my case, not a little body, a fat body. It's okay. I'm an infinite fat motherfucker. Let's go. Doesn't matter. Anyway, this is already like almost 40 minutes long. I think you guys get the point. If you have any other questions, you can always email me or leave questions in the comments, but I think this should do. Prayer, we'll go over it quickly, sincerity is the most important thing. And with the meditation, breath is the most important thing in the beginning. And then eventually you don't even need breath. You just know how to still your mind, and you know you can even do mantra or prayer to get yourself into stillness. Breath isn't the only way, but in the beginning, if you're not practicing this, breath is the easiest, most efficient, quickest way to get you into your stillness. But you don't want to go too far into like, I'm so used to only doing breath that I need breath work to become still. That's an illusion too. And even Ramana Maharshi mentions this, where like you start getting attached to the techniques themselves. You're trying to get to a point where you become the technique. You can access stillness through any aspect of yourself. You literally embody the stillness. It doesn't even matter the breath or the prayer or the mantra or whatever specific technique you want to use. You're just it. And you get to that place, and now you can kind of let go of this overwhelming need to pray and meditate all the time to get in touch with God. You already are the God in touch with God aspect. And it's beautiful. And that's where the perfection lies. So do the work. I promise you, it'll start feeling nice. In the beginning, there's going to be resistance. There's going to be like some difficulty, whatever. Power through it. Power through it, man. Like, dedicate yourself sincerely. And I promise you, it will improve very, very, very quickly. Before you know it, you're going to be deeper and deeper into this ascended path of stillness and righteousness and amazingness. It is yours. It is your birthright. It is your sovereign duty. It is the highest calling to do this. Do it. And then after that, you can choose to participate in any aspect of life. But now your attitude's improved. Now your whole life worldview has improved. You're not mired in shit. You're not mired in karma. You're not mired in the illusion and always like bouncing back and forth. You're like the rock. You're like rooted, like this just deep foundation. So yeah, do the work. Meditate and pray like your life depends on it, because in a weird way it does.